Hello, podcast people. My name is Julia Mason. My husband and I live here in Oregon on the western side, and we raise some polypay sheep, and yeah, we're just sheepy people. We also raise ABCA registered border collies, which are herding working dogs, and they work sheep and cows. So yeah, that's us. And this is my first episode after a 3-week break. More than 3 weeks? More than 3 weeks. It's been a long time. I actually have been sick for 3 weeks, and I think that's why I didn't record last time, is I was really ill. And we also had a lot of crap happening. So, yeah, I will definitely talk about a lot of that today. And yeah, I've not been super looking forward to recording just because I don't want to talk about some of the, like, it's not personal or like whatever. It's just something bad happened and I'm like, ugh, anyways. So anyways, it's fine. I don't mind sharing, but I also feel like I should talk about it. But anyway, so yeah, I have some knitting done. It's been really, really hot because it's summertime and I have not been knitting as much. I also, like I said, was really sick. I've been sick for like 3 weeks. I had a really bad sinus infection and was like kind of non-functional for a good part of that period of time. So I was just happy that I was still like there for the girls and Nicholas, and I wasn't really doing a whole lot. I mean, I did do some knitting, but not a whole lot. So anyways, I do have some knitting, but I think I'll talk about what's been going on other than knitting first. Get that out of the way, because otherwise I feel like my brain's really cluttered. So I know a lot of people tend to podcast and they tell, well, I mean, when they podcast, they tend to tell like all their personal stories at the end. But for me, I feel like I rush through my knitting because my brain's too messy. So anyways, I will talk about what's been going on in our lives a little bit. We, right before, or right after, no, during, when I posted my last episode, I was actually in California visiting my friend, and I had taken the girls down there to visit, and it was just a for fun trip, but for me, and I did have a lot of fun, but I also felt really anxious. Like I really struggled with anxiety the whole time. It was just really nerve-wracking to be in charge of 2 little, very dependent people, and I mean, I'm always in charge of them, but like outside my comfort zone, traveling, and not having Nicholas around to like back me, you know, like be my backup in case I failed. But anyways, so everything's fine. We got home and we lived. It was just a little anxiety provoking for me, and also they didn't sleep good down there at all. So then we were really sleep deprived when we got home, and like I said, we had to take a plane, so we got germs. So when we got home, very sleep deprived and out of whack and exposed to germs. Of course, Felicity got really sick and she had like a fever for a couple of days, and then I caught whatever it was, and ooh, it was a mess. So it was just basically a shitstorm. So then Whiskey, our dog, who we drove to Eastern Oregon a couple of months ago to breed, she was due. So we were real sick and we were expecting puppies at the same time. So the delivery went fine. I actually was trying to record a podcast at that time and it just wasn't working because then we had puppies. And it was, yeah, it was fine. The puppies were all healthy. Everything was great. There was a lot of them. There was 7. Last time she had a litter, she had 5. And we had like no issues last time. Ooh, that's a very large spider. So anyways, I'm just gonna lean forward a little bit. Hope he leaves me alone. Yeah, anyways, with their, oof, my brain's not working. there were, oh, so last time there was no issues. She nursed the puppies fine. Everything was great. This time, there was a lot of them. There were two really large ones, one good-sized one, and 4 very small ones. And I think we had an issue with the littler ones not competing, getting enough milk. Plus, we had a power failure in the middle of the night, and it's summertime, so that shouldn't be an issue, but it was kind of a cooler day, and so the house got a little bit cold, and they're in the house with us near where we sleep, and I was getting up all night, and I was sick as a dog, and the girls kept waking up, and stuff was just going horribly wrong all night, and we couldn't keep the puppies as warm as we should have. And you know, not sleep deprived version of me would have thought of, you know, lots of ways to fix that, or like problem solve that without electricity. But mostly it was like I had been told, like, oh, you're being overly cautious by having a heat lamp, it's not a big deal, you don't really need it. And that's probably true most of the time, but because of the milk issues, it was an issue. So anyways, I was like, okay, it's probably fine since they have Whiskey, and which is their mom, and it's not that cold. Well, by the morning, one of them was a little bit chilled and started seizing, and yeah, so that was upsetting. Obviously, all of this is really super upsetting. If I don't get like hyper emotional talking about it, it's not because it doesn't affect me, it's because I don't like getting really emotional in front of people. So just don't think I'm a calloused, horrible person. It was really awful, and yeah, I had to go through it. So I'm trying, just, yeah, whatever. It sucked a lot. So anyways, that we asked the advice of a couple of friends who breed dogs and have a ton of experience, and they didn't really know, they'd never experienced that before, and so they didn't really know what to advise. And they were like, it's probably something, you know, like it didn't get enough oxygen in labor, and you might just let it run its course and see what happens, let Whiskey deal with it. And of course, yeah, it didn't take long before it passed away because it was, like I said, seizing. So that sucked, and but we chalked it up to there was something wrong with that puppy, and like, you know, stuff happens, that's sad, but you know, oh well, that'll happen sometimes, genetic freak things. But that night, 2 puppies started seizing at the exact same time, and then all of a sudden it hit us like, oh no, this is environmental, something's wrong with what's going on with the litter as a whole, and it's not genetic, and it's not a, you know, birth issue, it's something's going wrong. So that was horrible. We tried to save them and get them warmed up, and we were like messaging our friend who's a vet tech, and she was really helpful, but it happened so fast. The first one, it took a really long time to go downhill, and the second 2 crashed at the same time, and then within like a half hour they had died, which is crazy and awful. And like, I had kept one of them going for a really long time, just, you know, using my thumb, doing compressions, keeping its lungs and heart going, and it was super sad. And I was also just panicking because it looked like they were just dropping like flies, and we had no idea why, and it looked like we were going to just lose all the puppies, and we had no idea what was going on. And my main worry was, I don't want to face Felicity in the morning and have lose all the puppies. That would suck in itself, but then have to tell my 3-year-old about it. Like, that's awful. Thankfully, I mean, so we lost those 2 puppies, and that was really devastating already, but thankfully we didn't lose any more, and she is too little to really realize that. I mean, she'd only met them once, so she didn't really get used to the amount that there were. So thankfully she hasn't really registered that. We've talked about it a little bit in front of her, so she might know about it, and she might be okay with it, because she's pretty used to farm life and the fact that things don't always work out, and you know, sometimes animals get sick and pass away, and so she might know about it and she might not, but I'm not going to bring it up because it's not a conversation I want to have. I've had to talk to her enough about putting animals down and things like that over the last year. So anyway, so in the morning another one started to crash, and by that time we had kind of hypothesized that it was hypoglycemia. And at the time in the evening, we didn't, I don't know why we didn't think to, we put Caro syrup on all of their gums, which is what our friend had recommended, but that didn't really seem to do it. So I don't know why we didn't think to bottle feed them before that, but anyways, when the one started crashing, I rushed her inside and put her in warm water, because we don't have hot water in this building, and got her body temperature up, because you can't get milk into a baby animal, probably an adult human as well, but anyways, you can't put nourishment in their stomach and expect them to digest it if their core temperature is bad, so or down. So I got her temperature up using warm water, and then rushed her outside and got her, you know, a syringe with some lamb milk replacer, because that's what we had, and got that in her, and she actually recovered, which was such a relief. And then we started bottle feeding all the puppies for a few days, just to make sure they got that boost and were doing fine. So then, since then, they're doing fine. It was super stressful. I was very, very sick. Being up all night for lots of nights in a row while I was sick, that then gave me a sinus infection, and then I was real, like, even more sick, and yeah, it's been really fun. So anyways, that was all pretty terrible, and I just really didn't feel like podcasting around that time. I was just like, I wanted to, because I like podcasting, but I also was just like, I can't stand to talk about this yet. So I've just spent the last 2 weeks like processing it, I guess. And yeah, so that's that. It really sucked. So anyways, otherwise the puppies are doing really well, and they're growing, and there's, you know, 4 healthy, vigorous puppies. So it just really sucks to, you know, have hindsight and know that none of that had to happen if we had known what was going wrong. We just didn't know that seizures were an indication of hypoglycemia, and now we know. But it doesn't sound like it's something that people run into super often. So anyway, other than that, the good stuff that's happened, we got a round pen and started training our horses. The early part, when we were just like had a cold but weren't like dying of a sinus infection. So that was really fun. I got my mare a few rides on her before I really got sick and decided that I needed to stop messing around and to just rest. And I can't think what else we've been doing. Yeah, that's about it as far as life stuff. I mean, there's other things. We missed 4th of July, which is my absolute favorite holiday, but we were all sick, so we stayed home. It's pretty lame. It's been a super lame summer, and yeah, I've had really lame summers for the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm excited for that bad streak to end. So maybe next year I'll just stay home and shelter myself, and that will maybe help. Last summer I had appendicitis during the summer. So yeah, anyways, good times. So then I was pregnant, but yeah. So that's our crappy stuff and why I haven't podcasted. So I'm sorry, and I'm back, and hopefully everything will be great from here on out. But yeah. Oh, I don't think I ever introduced the podcast. I'll probably fix that and edit that in. But anyways, so I guess I'll jump right into knitting. Last time I podcasted, I think the project that I was working on was Felicity's Rainbow Shawl, and I finished it while I was in California. And yeah, it was just a very simple, easy design and really fun. I actually switched the way I was doing my eyelets to more like the Stephen West pattern. I don't remember which pattern it was. He did them like this, where the eyelets were one color. I guess it's different. So anyways, these are the same move basically, but the way you arrange the colors is a little different. And I really like this effect. I think it looks really cool. And I actually have not blocked it, so I don't know how much it would open up if I did that. So yeah, and if I were to wear it, it's just like a little cute kerchief. I mean, honestly, if I were to tie it in the back, or maybe block it so that it's a little longer, and then my hair's stroking, it's a little thick, and tie it, it would actually be like a really comfortable, warm wintertime scarf thing that could be really cute. I mean, the colors and stuff would kind of not match because it looks like kind of like a Western thing. But the colors look a little funny for a Western thing. But anyways, so yeah, that was that. The yarn that I used for this was X-Ray Ann is the dyer, and she sells on Etsy. And it was a mini skein set. So I've got a lot of use out of that. So I highly recommend that. And I can't recall what this contrasting color was called. It's probably in my Sheep Shuffle Mitt episode or the one previous to that. So I don't remember. But anyways, and I just made that pattern up as I went along. It was just I needed a kind of a fun, uncomplicated project of something that I could just improvise. So it just has like varying stripes and garter and stockinette and eyelets, and I did a yarn over stripe, which I'm not in love with. I like yarn over stripes in some things, but it wasn't my favorite here. Some more eyelets. So yeah, that's that. Maybe someday I'll get around to writing the pattern for that, I don't know. And the next thing I picked up, I had packed this with me to California as well. Oh dear, it's all snagged. That's what you get when you have cats. Cats and knitting. And so yeah, I packed this one along because I really wanted to get it done, and it's my Stormy Sky shawl, and I actually really love it. I wasn't as much in love with it when I had done the first part because the striping was so apparent, and it's still stripy looking, but it's more blended as you get further along. So I'm pretty happy with it. I'm actually gonna tie my hair up so I can put it on. Yeah, where did that creepy spider go? Hopefully he's not in my hair now. But anyways, excuse me. Yeah, this shawl was more fun in it once I got back in the hang of it, but I had gotten kind of bored of the pattern because it's pretty repetitive, which is fine. It's just not super exciting to work on. There we go. But it wasn't as mindless as like a stockinette project. But once I was finished, I was like, yes, I love this thing. And I actually have worn it a ton, even though it's summertime. I have had to stop wearing it like the last week or so. But I made tassels, and her pattern, I think she just did tassels on the ends, but I decided to do the middle as well. And yeah, it's really, really plush and comfy and smooshy, and I really, really like it. So this yarn was, I think it's called Cascade Multis, and the colorway was denim, I believe. And I looked at some other pictures of it on Ravelry, and it's really amazing how much that colorway varies. Like some people's, it was like almost all gray, and mine is really blue and bright. So yeah, it's used a lot. People use it for socks mostly, even though I think it was classified as a sport weight, but it's very soft and really, really nice, and it actually turned out really fun for this shawl, even though I did not think it was going to look good because of the stripiness. So yep, that's my Stormy Sky shawl. I got it done, and I'm really happy with it. This is one that was definitely more of like a product to knit, and I'm really happy to have that. And the next thing, I had cast this on when we were in Central Oregon visiting with Nick's family. They rented a house over there for us to all go, but it ended up just being me and the girls. So I cast this on then, and then I set it down for a while, and I picked it back up when I got back from California, and I finished it. It's my linen top, and I made it more of like a crop top, and would you believe it, I messed up the waist decreases again. I don't know what's wrong with me. I cannot seem to read a pattern to the end. I get like this most recent project, my work in progress. Yes, work in progress is she writes every line basically. It doesn't ever say like work in pattern, which is kind of annoying, but at the same time, because she does that, I always think I'm going to miss something, so I have actually been reading it, and I think that's probably good. But anyways, so this is the linen top. I guess I could try it on over my sweater. That could look kind of weird. But yeah, so there was waist decreasing in this, and I completely spaced it. And I can't decide what I want to do. If I like it enough, it looks really frumpy on top of this sweater. But yeah, I can't decide if I want to fix it, because it's like a cropped top. Which, I mean, the cropping, I mean, that's what I intended to do. Except for the front goes down really far. So, yeah, and the crop is good, but I realized that I missed a ton of waist creases, so it would have been a lot more fitted in the lower half. So I don't know if I want to just rip it back and redo it, or I am like, maybe I'll just wear it for a little bit and see if I like it, and if it's something that's actually wearable. I haven't been wearing it just because I wanted to show it to you guys before I started wearing it, because I blocked it at one point, and I blocked it kind of like by stretching it out, but then it got set in like a pile for the last 2 weeks, so that didn't really do much good at all. But so now, yeah, I just gotta decide, what do I want to do? Do I want to rip it back and fix the waist decreases because it's so boxy, or do I want to see how I like that boxy fit and just wear it for a while? I don't know. And the other possibility is I really like the yarn and I really like this motif, and so I thought about making a different design altogether using this motif in, like, I don't know, a different way, so that it was more lace, but then I'd have to find something to wear under it because then it'd be real see-through. So I don't know, I'm still thinking yet. That's why I actually have woven in the ends. I just haven't cut them because I couldn't decide if I wanted to try and change it or if I wanted to leave it the way it is. So I might just cut them, and then I'm a little worried that I won't be able to find them if I do that. But yeah, so that's the linen top. It's actually made of cotton. I think it was called Sidar was the brand. I don't remember the colorway or anything, but it's very nice. I really like this yarn. It's extremely strong. I tried to break it. With my wool, I'll usually just snap it, but yeah, it was just hurt my fingers. So it's a very strong, stout yarn, and I have a little bit left, and I think I'm going to try making some of those like weightless mesh grocery sacks out of them, like reusable grocery bags. Yeah, because it's really light and strong, and that pattern calls for cotton, but I don't know. See if I get around to it. I have too many things I want to do. So I can't remember what other notes I had about this. It was very simple and a pretty easy pattern to kind of memorize. This, what do they call that? Fan and feather or something. It was really pretty easy to memorize, and I really liked knitting it. It was fun. Especially once I got it in the round and I could just go around and around and around. So yeah, I feel like I'm breezing through the knitting part of this today. But my last project is the one that I've actually been working on recently. I cast it on when I was in Central Oregon, and I couldn't think because there was, you know, other people around and things, which is fine. We were all visiting. So I needed something a little more mindless. So then I just put it down and didn't pick it up until I finished those other things. And this is the Agatha cardigan. So far I have the bodice of it. I should have worn like a tank top so I could try these things on. But yeah, and it's actually fitting. I was a little worried. I did the extra small because she says to do negative ease because it's so lacy. You need to pull the lace open. And so I did the extra small, and I was really reticent, like, oh, I hope I picked the right size. But it stretches out to fit just right, so I'm happy with that. And then there's the 3 lace panels on the back. I've just finished the waist shaping, and from here you're supposed to knit like down just the waist, so I'm just supposed to knit down in pattern to like 11-ish rows or whatever that is, and then do my ribbing and be done with the waist. But I can't decide whether or not I will wear it enough at that length, so I'll have to think about it some more, because that would make it like here, and I just don't know, especially with, and this is gonna, I don't mean to sound like I'm complaining about my body at all, because I'm really happy with my body, but I just have a little extra skin around my belly from having the girls, and so I think that having my shirt or my sweater end here will just accentuate that little flabby bit more than having it cover it, unless I were to wear dresses, which in theory I'm fine with. I just don't end up doing it. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, I also messed up on this. Like, I was feeling pretty good, like, I think I've caught all my mistakes and fixed them as I go. I think I'm doing pretty good on this project. But, I mean, I don't know how apparent it is. I'm wondering. I don't feel like it's apparent at all, but maybe it is. At, so you knit, excuse me, from the shoulders down, and then from the shoulder down, and then, when you join all of the 3 pieces together, they all are supposed to match up, and when I did it, they didn't match, and so I thought that I had done not enough rows on one side, so I added a row, or a repeat, and then I went around and it seemed to be working good, and then all of a sudden I noticed that this pattern wasn't matching this pattern, and they're at like a different point in the repeat, and it's because I had added 2 rows into this leaf motif. See, these leaves are short and this one's really long. And so, like, it just kind of made everything wonky. So I don't really think it's noticeable. And I don't think anyone will know, aside from all of the people, all of the millions of people who will watch this. So I don't think it's a big deal, and I just was like, whatever, it's fine. No one's going to even be able to tell. And I had gone quite a ways down before I noticed it. So it is going to be what it's going to be. So yeah, I am fine with it. So I just have to decide what length I want to do it, and then do the sleeves and the button band and the neckband. So there's still quite a lot to do, because this is such a small bodice that it's really not that much knitting. I think this is 1 skein so far of Cascade 220, and then the sleeves, I bought 4 skeins altogether for it, so I still have to do the sleeves and everything. So, and I just started my 2nd skein. So, yeah, that is my Agatha cardigan by Andi Satterlund. Oh, that reminds me, this was by Samantha Stadler. I think I've mentioned her a bunch of times because of this pattern. And then the Stormy Sky shawl is by Life is Cozy, which is, her name's Ksenia. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but anyways, yeah, so that is all of that. I think that's all my knitting that I've accomplished. I got weirdly excited about Christmas knitting recently. I watched an episode of Christy Glass Knits where she interviewed Squidney Knits, who is a gal who actually grew up in Oregon, which is where I am, and she makes a lot of vintage patterns, and she's a really cool gal, but she does like an insane amount of Christmas knitting, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to make myself like stressed out and not able to enjoy the season, but and she does it like all compressed into like a month or something, 2 months. But anyways, I would like to do more Christmas knitting, and I would like to do more planned projects and like know what I'm going to make everyone and like get into the spirit of it. But I want to start like now in July or August and not be like ripping my hair out. So yeah, I started just like going through Ravelry and planning a bunch of things, and I'm excited to do that. I've actually ordered some yarn for people's presents already, and yeah, yeah, I just need to decide. And then I have all that fingering weight. I should have brought it out. I have all this fingering weight, like Highland wool, so it's not ultra soft, so I don't want to make it as like a shawl for somebody who's not used to wearing wool. But it's fingering weight Highland wool by Cloudborne Fibers, and I have kind of like a peacock array of colors. There's like a green and like a almost St. Patrick's Day type green, and then a purple, and then a teal and a gray, like a dark slate gray. And so I don't know why I bought all different colors. I should have bought 4 of the same color, and then I could have at least done something with it, or I don't know, something. So I either need to come up with like a really weird color work project, or I don't know. I thought about doing some brioche with it. The problem is they're all kind of in the same tone, so they're not going to be high enough contrast for like color work. I need like a white of the same type of fiber. I mean, it could be a different fiber, I suppose, but I just don't have anything. I don't have any light colored fingering weight. So yeah, I've just been looking at that pile of yarn because it was so cheap is why I bought it, that it was like, oh, I can't pass up this deal. But now I'm looking at it like, what do I do with this? I suppose it can be that like something you keep in your stash and can use when you need it, but yeah, I just am looking at it like, what can I do with this? So if you have any ideas, that would be cool. I also need to probably just get some, I thought about getting some light colored yarn to match and then making like the Oracle shawl. I wouldn't use all, that would be 5 colors then with the light color, but I'm picking 2 or 3, I can't remember what it calls for, of the colors, and then adding that light color to it to give it that contrast and doing that pattern, because that's a really cool pattern. And I'm like super itching to do brioche, and I recently learned that brioche and fisherman's rib are like identical basically. I guess maybe they look a little different after execution, like maybe fisherman's rib is not as loose and plush, or maybe, I don't, I'm just guessing why people consider them kind of different, but in essence, like the way that the yarns are arranged is virtually the same from what I understand, but fisherman's rib seems super simple. So I'm like, huh, that's interesting. I still haven't tried brioche, and I really want to do it. I think I'm going to do it this week, just at least a swatch to learn, because I get it in concept. I watch videos of people doing it. I'm like, okay, that makes sense what they're doing, but I haven't actually made my fingers do it, so we'll see. And then I also want to like contrast that to fisherman's rib and see what I prefer. Then I'm also like, if you use fisherman's rib in a brioche project, are you not going to have the street cred of like, I did a brioche project because you did it like the easy way? I don't know. That seems silly to me, but whatever. I don't know. Brioche seems like this elite club or something. But I just need to try it and see what I think about it. That, and this is almost embarrassing, but like cables. I've never really worked cables before, and I'm really wanting to try it because once again, I've watched videos of it. It seems pretty straightforward, but I haven't actually done it, so I don't know. So yeah, I need to find projects that, I just haven't found anything that I want to knit that have them, and so I haven't got around to it yet. So anyways, I really appreciate you guys watching. I'm sorry that this episode was super late, and I'm sorry for the kind of, well, crappy news, basically. And yeah, sorry to be a bummer, and just this is my apology section. Yeah, sorry. It's been a rough month, but things are looking up, and hopefully next time I talk at you, things will be really good, and I'll have lots of knitting done. But I am learning that I am not a summer knitter as much. I mean, I experienced this last year, but I attributed it to being really, really, really pregnant and not feeling like it. But I think there's too many fun things to do in the summer, and it's really hot. And I feel almost like guilty knitting when I have like a garden that really needs to be weeded, and so many things that I'm behind on from being sick. So, and like the horses really need to be worked. So all that is to say that I probably won't have as much knitting done per episode during the summer months, and I think I just need to be, easier on myself, because it's like, it's a winter hobby more for me, and that's fine. I think that's part of like life and balance is, not forcing yourself to do something you're not feeling, and be okay with seasons and stuff changing. So anyways, don't worry. When winter comes back, I will be just as prolific and obsessed with knitting as ever, so it's all good. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah. Oh, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I am usually very active there. I've actually been super quiet on Instagram through all of this too, just partly from feeling down, but then also partly because I didn't feel like I could share about my knitting because my podcast was so behind, and I didn't want to like show off everything before the podcast, because then why would you watch? But that's probably silly, because like I don't think that the people on Instagram watch as much as, and like people who watched it aren't always on Instagram. So anyways, but if you want to watch Instagram, I have more stuff going on there. And I'm also on Facebook as Dandelion Dreams Knits, and I share all my Instagram posts onto there as well. And and Ravelry as Dandelion's Dream. And yeah, I'd love to have more Ravelry friends to see what you guys are liking and what patterns you're favoriting. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great summer. Bye!